This video was recommended to me by a viewer. She said it was really good, and I thought, hey, why not give it a try? It does look interesting, and you know I'm always down for a little clowning on Ashes.
The is happening with MMOs. We give them our money, we give them our time, and in return, they give us empty servers and cash shops. The entire industry has become a total insult to the people who support it. We have spent the last 2 decades chasing a ghost, and I think I am finally done running. I have been playing MMOs since the early 2010s, and they have ruined every other genre for me, because the best kind of game in my opinion is an MMO, because there is nothing else like it. The communities are the best part. Just being able to play a game with strangers who are like-minded is incredible. It's just a bunch of nerds coming together to play a game they love, and there is nothing else like it in any other type of game.
His screen looks relatively clean.
I'm always on the search for the next great MMO, hoping that the new releases will finally be my forever home.
Damn, all of these games are dead.
If you're watching this video in 2026, you already know that the dream feels dead. We just got the news about Ashes of Creation shutting down development, and it feels like the final nail in the coffin for the Kickstarter era of gaming.
It is. It is. I don't think we're gonna see any Kickstarter project ever again. And I know some of you told me in the comments about a Kickstarter project that actually reached its goal. I have to check it out. But I honestly believe that after Ashes of Creation, we're not gonna see anything big anymore. Like, never.
Spent years hoping that crowdfunded projects would save us from the corporate greed of big studios. But now we are left with nothing but broken promises. So for this video...
It's like the corporate greed wasn't tied to a specific company. It was actually just the people. And yeah, Steven, the MLM artist, definitely isn't one of the good guys. In my opinion, at least.
I want to talk about the current state of MMOs,
I have to add that.
Where we are, where it all started to go wrong, and why we can't break out of these old classics like World of Warcraft or Guild Wars 2. We need to figure out why the industry keeps crashing and burning, and if there's any...
And by the way, in case some of you don't understand or know what MLM stands for, you know, I see this term being thrown a lot out there. It means multi-level marketing, also known as a pyramid scheme.
Hope left for gamers like us. To understand why we are stuck, we have to look at the bodies piled up in the corner. The last 2 decades are filled with games that have tried to be the next big thing and failed miserably. One of the biggest disasters was the day before to be the next...
What the fuck? Dude, look how many dead MMOs. Jesus. That's crazy. New World. Rest in peace, Terra. Oh my god, I play Terra. It had such a good combat for the day. If you play Terra, you know. The game was crazy. The game was insane. Marvel Heroes. Oh, dude, I love that game. I actually love that game. Legitimately. Firefall. The name rings a bell. I'm not sure I played it. Tabula Rasa. What? I've never heard of that. Alien. Yeah, so many people are talking about this game. I heard it a lot in my comments. Lost Ark technically is still alive, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, the game is pretty much dead. Throne and Liberty, I covered not too long ago. So many people were mad. They were actually telling me to try out this game. I might. It's free, but I guess it's not really free because you have to pay to play, you know, optimally. So it's kind of pay to win, but at the same time, I may just give it a go because why not? Odyssey in the background. Name's familiar. I don't remember. Blue Protocol, I really want to try that. I heard the game was trash though. World of Darkness, absolutely no idea what the hell is that. Project Titan, rest in peace, man. Okay, that didn't exist.
Big thing and failed miserably. One of the biggest disasters was the day before. The reason that game failed went beyond just simple bugs. The developers used completely...
Isn't this game that was just a straight up scam? It didn't even exist, right? All they had is like bare bones server and that's it. I believe even the trailer he's currently showing was like fake and scripted, right? Is this the right game? I hope I'm not confusing anything.
Fake marketing to scam players into buying an
this is it. Yeah, he said
disguised as an open world MMO. It destroyed player trust in a way that the industry still hasn't recovered from. Then you have the classic complexity trap victims like Crowfall and Wildstar. Crowfall prioritized complex throne war systems over...
Crowfall was ass. I played it. It was so bad. I was so excited for it too back in the day because I'm a huge MU fan. If some of you actually understand what I just said, like shoutouts to you, you're a real one, a true OG. But yeah, for the 99% of you who don't know MU, it's basically just a really old MMO. It was so good. Like you should check it out, honestly. Back in the day, I used to play it a ton. But that being said, I was really excited for Crowfall. I tried it out and it was so boring. It was just so bad. The combat was subpar. And for a PvP-based MMO, man, that's a death sentence. Also, nobody really likes these type of games anymore. Or actually have. It's something that, it's really an old relic, right? That's pretty much it. And again, I will always say that MMORPGs are built off the backs of PvE gamers. Okay? Like, never make an MMO that is fully fledged and catered to PvP Andes. It won't work. Except for Albion, which, by the way, I omitted Albion name one time from a video as an example, and man, people were mad at me like, oh, why didn't you mention Albion? I did it, okay? Just leave me alone. So, Albion and Eve, okay? I mentioned it. Now, Albion and Eve are the only two PvP-based MMO that actually works and have a functioning community. Albion is also on mobile, so that contributed a lot to its popularity for sure. But at the same time, they have the proper structure to hold these type of players. You can't have whatever the hell Ashes tried to do, because it won't work. It's like you're trying to play both ends. It will never end up well, because the MMORPG lovers that are playing only for PvE, like me, they're never gonna come to your game. Like, never. And if you want to have all the sweats and the PvP stuff, you can combine it with MMORPG PvE elements. It just don't make any sense, right? Because these type of players just won't come to your game. It's not fun for them. Well, fun for us.
Responsive combat, making the game feel like a chore rather than a battle. WildStar made a similar mistake by catering exclusively to hardcore raiders. They built a beautiful world full of personality, but they locked the best content behind a punishing attunement grind that drove the casual audience away immediately.
I played WildStar back in the day, and I don't remember why I quit. I remember I thought the game was good, but at the same time, I can't really judge it because I don't remember too much of it, but I was really sad that it was gone. Because I thought this game would legitimately kill World of Warcraft. It had the potential. Like, it had. I haven't played WoW at the time, but WoW was, you know, real life money and WildStar was free. So I could play that. And it kind of made me really sad. Because I really wanted a good MMORPG that I can play for free.
We also need to remember the phantom pain of vaporware like
and I don't think it started as free, I think it became free later.
Request Next, and now Ashes of Creation. These games promise us revolutionary technology like destructible voxel worlds or
promises and dreams.
Ashes of Creation hurts the most because we waited for over 10
Guys, look at all that content that Ashes had. Holy shit, it's like it was all scripted and never existed in the first place though. Crazy
for Intrepid Studios to deliver on their Kickstarter promises. The project ultimately collapsed because the scope became too large for the team to manage effectively, leaving us with a permanent alpha test and
no, it collapsed because incapable people were in charge. Like, that's it. Like, literally that's it. Or maybe it was a scam all along. We don't really know that. We need to wait until we get all the fine details in. But yeah, I mean, it's not because the scope was big. Dog, he had the money and he had the manpower. So I don't know what the hell was wrong there. Again, I'm going to say this at every single video. This game was made using Unreal Engine 5. You don't develop your own engine. You don't need to give us any excuses for why we don't see stuff inside of the game. How the game, after 10 years of development, or 8+ years, whatever, okay, had this, had no content whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense. I've seen single developer projects on Unreal Engine 5 or Unity that were 10 times better than what we got. So that was the major reddest flag ever. It wasn't even a red flag, it was a straight up black flag, okay? Like you're in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. The ship has sunk.
Instead of a game. And now we're watching New World prepare to turn its lights off next year.
I know one guy who's really mad at that.
Of having unlimited budget with no clear direction. They pivoted from a survival game.
Yeah, because it was never about the money. Like, never. That's why a big company just throwing money at some developers isn't going to make the perfect game. You actually need to have talent. And the reason why old Blizzard succeeded so much is because they had passionate people, passionate gamers that actually knew what they were doing. And before you tell me, oh, Steven is a hardcore MMO gamer, being a gamer doesn't necessarily mean you create the perfect game. And also, Steven is allegedly a self-proclaimed billionaire gamer. Okay, we've seen the text. It's cringe, I know, but we saw it. So you can't really tell me that a guy who allegedly purchased his way to the top in Lineage 2 and Arcade and used allegedly gold purchasing techniques and allegedly bribed people to join his guild would make a good game. Okay? Allegedly.
To an MMO in the last second,
I have to kick my ass, Cowboy boys.
Game that simply couldn't handle the demands of large-scale warfare. When Western developers fail, we usually look towards the East for salvation, but that has its own set of problems. We keep seeing these massive Korean MMOs that look incredible graphically, but fall apart when they hit the Western market. Take Throne and Liberty as a recent example. The game...
To be fair, and I'm sorry for pausing all the time, it's such a good video, I have so many things to say. Eastern MMOs just has just have a completely different mentality from like Western ones. Because in like the Eastern parts, obviously pay to win is considered fine. It's considered okay. And pay for convenience isn't even considered pay to win. But I believe that in the West, pay for convenience does consider this pay to win. I know I consider it. I know many people in the West and like content creators who do think like me. So yeah, I mean, it's just the way they develop games over there. It's not really meant for the West. I think once an Eastern developer company would make an MMORPG that is catered for the West, it's going to blow the hell up. Like, it's going to be insane. And one day, I think that the Eastern market would take over, like, the entire Western market. Because right now we're seeing this with Where Winds Meet, we're seeing it with Black Myth Wukong. Not necessarily MMORPGs, obviously, but they're really good games that a lot of people from the West enjoy. So I think we're going to see more and more of that in the future. And the moment we see an MMORPG that cater to the people from the West, yeah, it's going to be fire.
Looks 100%. Stunning, but it flopped in the West because the core gameplay loop relied heavily on whale culture. In many Eastern markets, gaming happens in PC bangs, where social status is tied to in-game power, making pay-to-win mechanics much more socially acceptable. Western players generally reject this model, viewing it...
And this is something that people from the West don't realize. Like, they don't understand, like, what? You have these things? Yeah, that's how it works there. And it's okay. It's a completely different culture. You don't need to fully grasp it to understand, but to realize that these games are like this because that's acceptable over there, but it's not acceptable here. We don't want it. We don't like pay to win.
As a breach of competitive integrity. Lost Ark suffered from a similar cultural disconnect. It launched with huge numbers, but it required players to treat the game like a second job. The homework grind required logging in daily on multiple characters just to stay relevant. Eventually, real players burnt out from the repetition, leaving the servers overrun with bots, farming gold for the few remaining whales.
God.
We also cannot...
It's like the average WoW server, holy.
...ignore the overwhelming UI clutter and confusing systems that plague these titles.
Yeah, they love the clutter.
And are immediately bombarded with flashing red dots, daily login rewards that cover half the screen, and of course, the cash shop. This design...
Jesus, man. I remember when I was so excited that Lost Ark actually came here to the West. I downloaded it first day, wanted to play. I did a tutorial, which was really fun, by the way. It was actually really good. And the moment I left the tutorial zone, I got bombarded with all of these flashy UI elements that they throw at you. Mechanics from 5 years ago, because the game released to the West really late. And oh my god, I watched all of that and I was like, nope. I immediately uninstalled and I never looked back. And man, this was the best decision I've ever made.
Actively treats players like a gambler in a casino. It ignores
the game actually
fantasy
gatekeeps
of being
you as well.
A hero in a story and constantly reminds you that you are just a monetization metric. So if all these new games are failing, why do the old ones refuse to die? It really comes down to one simple thing, and that's community investment. I envy the way people talk about World of Warcraft. I didn't start playing
not this trailer again. No.
And while I love the game, it feels very antisocial to me. Most players are already established and have their guilds, so it feels like breaking into a private club that has existed for 20 years. But that club is exactly why WoW survives. People stay in WoW because leaving that game means leaving their friends and a decade of social history.
No, it's the only good MMO that still exists. You have basically three options if you're an MMO gamer. You either play World of Warcraft and capitulate to everyone's demands, and or you play Guild Wars 2, which is a horizontal MMO and it's not for everyone, or you just cave in and play Final Fantasy XIV, which is a game that runs so poorly you can actually play it on mobile. So these are your three options, okay? Like, that's pretty much it. They're all great games in their own regards, right? In their own terms. But at the same time, World of Warcraft is the major real and the only real option that people from the West usually have. Like, Guild Wars 2 is horizontal, so it's for like dad gamers that only have 2 hours to play a day, or maybe a week. And FF14 is, well, not for weebs, because I'm not a weeb. I love this game, of course. But... nah, it's for weebs. And that's pretty much it.
I had a similar experience with the Elder Scrolls.
Who am I kidding?
I started a guild with some online friends back in 2021. For a while, it was magic. But sadly, that game strayed too far from what we enjoyed.
Guys, don't tell me ESO, okay? Like, let's not go through this again. let's not.
Enjoyed, and the guild all left the game along with the majority of the player base. This is the tragedy of the modern MMO player. We are constantly trying to recreate that lightning in a bottle moment where a fresh community forms, but the games just aren't good enough to hold us together anymore. So is it all just doom and gloom? Not entirely. Even though the graveyard is full, there are a few sparks in the dark that we should keep an eye out on in 2026. First, we have the visual stunners like Chrono Odyssey and Arcade Chronicles. These games look absolutely incredible in Unreal Engine 5. However, we must remain skeptical of pretty graphics masking shallow gameplay. For these games to survive, they need to prove that they aren't just pretty casinos designed to drain our wallets. Then there's the old school renaissance with projects like Monsters and Memories. It's an indie project that is unapologetically trying to bring back that classic EverQuest friction.
Someone told me this game was a scam. I don't remember why, but someone told me that. Yeah, can anyone in the comments confirm that?
It's clunky and difficult by design, but at least it has a distinct soul. We also have Star's Reach, led by Ralph Koster, the designer behind Star Wars Galaxies. This game prioritizes the feeling of actually living in a world rather than just clearing flashing rays.
What is that?
If you miss the days when players built the economy and the cities, this MMO is going to be your best bet. And finally, we have the Riot MMO. They went dark a few years ago to reset development, but they remain the only company with the budget and lore depth to genuinely challenge World of Warcraft.
Bro, it's so funny. People are banking on Riot MMO and nothing is confirmed yet. The entire thing can get scrapped in an instant like they did with previous games, but nobody cares. They're like, oh, Riot, you're the last bastion of hope. Please deliver. But to be fair, Riot is kind of on a roll. I think that every game they've released so far was a banger. Even the ones that the studios were ended up shutting down, they were good. Like, I played these games. Like, they were insanely good. So, you know what? I really wish that Riot MMO would be good, because I know basically 70% of the Runeterra lore because I'm so heavily invested into it because of League of Legends and Arcane and you know, Runeterra. Obviously, back in the day, I was a Runeterra gamer. I built this channel on the very foundations of Legends of Runeterra. But yeah, I'm heavily invested inside of the lore, and I think they have the best story out there. Like, not even a competition. World of Warcraft can kick rocks. Honestly, they have the best story. So if they make an MMO that is good and the story is tailored within, oh my god, man, this is gonna break everything. It's gonna change the entire world. And I'm not even joking here. But it needs to be a good MMO. And I guess it wouldn't be, because I know that Riot, I think, was purchased by NetEase. So they're gonna make an MMO that caters to, like, the Eastern market, and that's going to be pay to win, and I'm most likely not going to enjoy it.
If that game ever actually comes out, it will be the biggest event in gaming history. But for now, it is just a ghost story we tell ourselves to keep the hope alive. These projects represent a diverse range of philosophies, from high-fidelity blockbusters to niche indie passion projects. This variety is exactly what the genre needs to finally break free from the stagnation of the last decade. However, potential alone is not enough to save the industry. For any of these titles to actually succeed where others have failed, they must adhere to 3 fundamental pillars of design. So what do these future games need to do to avoid ending up on the failure list? Well,
don't listen to
Reddit. They need
Reddit.
to respect our time. The average MMO player is in their 30s now. We have jobs, kids, and bills. We can't play for 12 hours a day just to keep up.
I just have bills.
MMO needs to make us feel like we achieved something, whether we played for 30 minutes or 6 hours. Second, they need to stop forcing social features and start building social worlds. You can't.
Exactly. And this is something I always talk about in every one of my videos. You can't force players into communication. It never ends well. What you can do, though, is build a social construct where people can naturally meet and talk with each other. The way they did that with World of Warcraft Classic, or Vanilla, should I say, to be more precise, is that they created specifically difficult quests, like elite quests, where you can't do this alone. You have to team up with someone. Now, you can circumvent this by skipping these quests entirely, but then you're missing out on the fun. So you think to yourself, hey, I might just team up with someone, do this really fun quest, and along the way, you get to meet a person. Sometimes most of the time, actually, it just turned up into nothing. You just say goodbye to each other and that's it. But still, you had a very good interaction. and you were socializing within a world. And that's good. These small interactions matter so much, way more than you think. Even though they seem insignificant at first, you always reminisce on them. And that's the beauty of it. The world is alive. And that's why I love Guild Wars 2 so much currently. Because it truly feels like the game is just filled with these interactions. With all of the meta events and all of the random stuff that happens all around. It's so much fun, man. Like, it's so good.
Can't just put a guild finder button in the UI and call it a community. You need to give us reasons to talk to each other again. Whether that's dangerous open worlds where we need help or player-driven economies where we need to
I haven't
trade.
pre-watched
And
this.
lastly, please, for the love of gaming, just give us a fair business model. We will happily pay a subscription fee if it means
Fair is subjective. Okay, Chief? Like, hey, if you're poor, I don't care.
everyone is on an equal playing field. The moment you let someone buy power with the credit card, you are destroying the integrity of the entire game. If a developer can just nail those three things, they will create a long-lasting community that is willing to spend tons of money on their game, making it their next forever home. Ultimately, the state of MMOs in 2026 is a reflection of an industry that has lost its soul. We don't play these games for the high-resolution textures or daily login rewards. We play them to feel like part of something that's bigger than ourselves. The technology has never been better. Yet the worlds have never felt more empty. We started this video asking what happened to the dream. The truth is that the dream is still alive, but it's currently being held hostage by spreadsheets and engagement metrics. The ball is entirely in the developer's court.
Guys, if you give me copious amount of money, I promise you I will give you the best MMO out there. If someone dare put me in charge of a really well-funded MMORPG, I would make the best game ever. I just know it, man. I know the gamers. I won't run out on you guys. I promise you. Like, please. Just do this, okay? You know what? I'm even willing to not take any paychecks. Just put me in charge of a well-funded MMORPG program. I'll do it for you. I'll make it good. Because I know how. I played almost every MMO under the sun. Okay? At least the ones who matter. And goddamn, I took inspiration from each and every one of them, even the ones I didn't like.
Now, we are still here,
it's so easy
and ready to log in, but we are done accepting mediocrity. The next great MMO does not need to reinvent the wheel. It just needs to give us a reason to spin it together. And until that happens, we will keep the campfires burning in the old worlds, waiting for a new horizon that is actually worth the journey. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments which dead game you missed the most.
World of Warcraft Classic. But yeah, seems to be the end of the video. Damn, it was a good video. Thank you for recommending me that. I enjoyed this one a lot. I have absolutely no idea how I turned an 8-minute video into like almost a 30-minute long. So I'm not gonna ramble too much. It was just a really great video. I had so much to say there. But I really want to add that to, you know, towards the end here. I really think that most developers nowadays are kind of looking at classic World of Warcraft booming again, and they realize that they missed something along the way. I think they're understanding that, hey, the ways of old weren't just nostalgia. They actually mattered. People enjoyed this. There's a reason why everyone play classic, and it's not because the game is difficult, okay? So you really need to look at this and see what the hell went wrong. Well, not really this because it's retail, but you should look at classic and definitely take inspiration from it, because I think most people would like the classic experience, but with the hard difficulty that we have from retail. If you can somehow make a classic plus experience, it doesn't necessarily have to be Blizzard, just like, you know, in MMORPG terms, I think you would make the best MMO out there. But nobody's willing to do that. Everyone trying to make a game that they would like to play instead of making a game that everyone would like to play. And that kind of sucks. It what ruins the entire ecosystem, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see any MMORPG in the next 5 years, which is so damn shameful. But at the same time, maybe I would be surprised by a small indie developing company that actually worked on a game in the shadows, but one can only dream.